Okay, so we're doing some viewer tattoos today. So let's see what's up.
Yeah.
See what we got.
All right. So this one says, I love the show. I would love a review of my traditional arms and front and any advice of anything to add to it. And that was from Luke. Whew. Yeah. I wish this was like a non kind of blurry photo of kind of what's happening here. It's not like the quality isn't amazing. Sorry.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I know what's up.
But this is like a nice.
There's like a glow on the photo. It is and it isn't.
It's a nicely done traditional suit. I know you hate traditional suits.
No, I love traditional tattoos.
My suggestion.
It's just like the fucking size on that clipper shit
I know,
with the wreath is really, really upsetting.
My suggestion, okay? Because I hate nipples in the middle of everything. Get some traditional roses or some traditional flowers and cover those, and bring them up the pectorals. Yeah, like kind of almost like a laurel, but like with flowers, trad flowers, and that fills the gap between your torso and your chest a little better. And you can do them in that. No, of course not. No one wants to tattoo their nipples.
Guys never tattoo their nipples.
I want you to run it over.
You literally never see it, and it really annoys me. They never do belly buttons, and they never do nipples.
Yeah.
It's like this, like, it's like almost like an excuse of like, well, the old trad, they didn't do that. It's like, I don't give a fuck. We're not in 1945. Like, we can tattoo nipples now.
Yeah.
Right? I think at some point we didn't think we could.
Don't be afraid of the nipple, guys.
Well, like, I actually think that some tattooers believed, for the same reason that like Japanese style tattoos, they didn't tattoo belly buttons, they didn't do armpits, they didn't do certain things, is like, oh, the skin won't breathe, like,
well,
the body,
it's the same with
all of this is nonsense.
The wrist too.
Yes,
artists wouldn't do the wrists. Yep. And then same with the ditch. I recently, not too long ago, I got blood taken, and I asked my nurse, because this is a misconception, that they leave it so that they can find veins. And, like, both of my ditches are covered. And I said,
none of that is a thing.
Well, I asked. I said, are you going to have trouble finding my veins? And she said, no.
And by the way,
I feel them.
If anything, I'm more vascular because of this.
Yeah. Well, she was like, that's just, it's bullshit. She's like, I feel your veins.
Like, veins on me everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, there are people with no tattoos that are not vascular.
Yep.
So that's not a thing either. There's so many, like, dumb ones out there. Like, the one that's the worst that people always say is, your skin can't breathe. Well, it's like, no,
you don't sweat.
I fucking sweat like a pig.
That one's hilarious.
I sweat. I sweat more now than I ever have. Mm-hmm. And that's not because of the tattoos. It's because I work out all the time.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't have a ton to say about this other than what I already said.
I think the birds are too small up top.
Ton of it's too small.
Right? Like the chest was too small. I feel like you got the sizing right on that bird in the center. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, there's just so much noise around it that I would have just gone without it and had the bird be bigger. In fact, I probably would have made the bird the entire front. Mm-hmm. Right? And you can see how that would have happened too, because each wing could have come up onto his clavicles there. Mm-hmm. And then you just have like the snake tailing off onto his throat a little bit. But obviously we're not starting over here. So all you can do is build more of these little guys. But you really do need to figure out something for the sides of your chest there, because this has made him look almost like he's wearing a bra of some kind.
Yeah, right? Anytime that we're like framing that nipple area, I'm like always trying to find ways to like just disappear that weird space. It's
not just that. It's the dude has a decent, like, if this guy was to work out, he would end up with like butt chest, similar to like what I have.
Yeah, like good pectorals. Like they're well defined.
He's got that like plump chest. And so because of this circular shape that they've done with this wreath, it's really kind of embellished that shape. Mm-hmm. And now he has this kind of round, like, breast area.
Yes, I know. That's why we need to cover them.
So that needs to be done away with somehow, right? Like, you need to take away from that shape. You need some pointed imagery. So I think it's pretty obvious, like you said earlier, and I agree with you. I think the way to do it is to do, see the rose, or like the little roses on his wreath there?
Yep.
The same exact thing. just like 3 of those in a row or 2 of them in a row
Yeah.
in a pointed formation over the nipple.
Yeah.
And you just take up all of that space there.
It's like a perfect framing, like a laurel with some floral in it or whatever. They do it in trad all the time.
I think it's necessary here.
Yeah.
Or 2 more birds.
Or,
You put
something.
the nipple in the middle of the bird where the pink is, right?
Yeah.
So that it's not too much saturation. Or like at least the nipple will help you in the design almost. And then that masks them as well because you can curve the bird any way you need to. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Birds are
Or
actually
like,
pretty mobile.
I mean, even daggers in those
Yeah,
spaces,
something.
curved daggers.
They're just
would be fine.
It's an eyesore the way it is right now, and
Yeah.
it takes away from the work that's been done. And the work that's been done is nice too.
Yeah.
Even his sleeves, like they're like nice, like trad patchwork sleeves.
Yeah, I'm like a big fan of trad. I like that he's stuck with like really basic color scheme with these two. I like that they tend towards the darker side of trad.
Yeah.
This is the type of trad that I'm a fan of.
I like it a little bit blacker. Like I like the really heavy black trad.
Oh, you know I do
But
too.
yeah, no, it's pretty good stuff overall. I think you just need to address that nipple problem now.
Yeah. That's what I'd be looking to fill in for sure. And then, so let's look at this next one. This one's from Alex from Ukraine. So, hello. My name is Alex. I live in Kiev, Ukraine. Watching you on YouTube all the time. Admire your work. What do you think about our Ukrainian artists? With love, respect, Alex. And
I
then-
mean, in general, I haven't seen too many bad Ukrainian artists, but the thing is like...
don't we have an artist at our other shop from the Ukraine? Isn't one of those guys
no,
Ukrainian or
but
no?
we've had Ukrainian guest artists here. The thing is like it's easy to like think, oh, all the artists from different countries are amazing, but we only ever see the good ones. Like it's guaranteed that there's bad artists everywhere in the world.
Well, that's
it's just when you're seeing trending artists, they're not bad.
that's the thing.
No matter where they're from.
I've seen some Ukrainian artists that I think are really, really good. I've seen some like German artists that I think are really, really good. I've seen some Russian artists that I think are really, really good. But yeah, Remy's right. Like we're only just seeing what's like really
you see
popular.
the cream of the crop or the
right?
absolute worst and nothing in between.
Yeah.
And let's be honest.
I feel like I'm never seeing the bad ones because they're not hitting
Well,
social
no.
media the same way.
And if you did see the bad ones, it's not like you care where they're from. You just go, oh, that's a terrible tattoo.
Right.
How funny is that? Right? The first thing you ask when you see a terrible tattoo isn't, where's the guy from that did this?
Yeah.
Like, you don't give a fuck. You
No,
just like,
you just know.
so is this like, it looks almost like a rose bird? Is that what's happening
No, this
here?
is totally an eagle. We're just not seeing parts of it.
It's a fucking, like, it looks like it has an American flag wing or something. Some kind of strange wing is happening
it like
here.
maybe a pheasant?
At first, I thought it was like
I
a
don't know.
biblically accurate angel with like rose design, like a rose pattern.
Jeez.
Because it's just like I can't see the thing anywhere.
I see.
It's like an eagle with roses.
It's
in
like
it, I think.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I think so too. This is a hard one because like the shape of your arm and the angle of the picture, like I don't see a head anywhere.
I think the head's down here. I think that's the point down here. I think that's the beak, and that little bit of white is the head of the bird.
Oh, okay.
I think that's, but we're just not seeing the proper angle.
Yeah.
For this, like, you really need to send a picture of it sitting straight.
Yeah.
And even if I flip this because of how the photo was taken,
It's not going to look right
it's not gonna
because
give
the
me the
top
shape.
is bigger than it actually is. Like it's out of proportion. Like you almost just could take a mirror picture of this and it would be better
Yeah, this
for
is
us to see.
pretty bad photo, but
Yeah.
I like this tattoo. Like, I like the style. I like the idea. I think I like the idea. I like the colors. I like the line weight,
Darkness.
the dark. Like, this is what I was just saying, the super dark trad.
I like dark trad.
Like big,
you know I like dark
glorby,
trad.
like almost where the lines are for sure gonna spread.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of trad that takes my eye when there's almost no negative, but the negative is there just to give light.
Yeah, and they're putting a shit ton of black and
Yeah.
like whipping it out, but not
Yeah.
like to a gray, but to a pepper shaded black.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like, really, really nice contrast in there. So what I can see, I like. I just don't know what the fuck it is. It looks cool though.
Right.
And then is this by the same?
Yeah, that's the bird at the bottom. Do you see
Okay.
it?
So what a fucking style departure.
Well, I don't. Who knows if this is the same artist or
Oh,
if it's a
there's
different artist.
Almost no way.
What is it? Tupac, L.A. in a car.
Because like you can be a versatile artist for sure and do several styles, but like, it's very rare that you're going to have the guy that approaches a trad project like that approach a realism project like this. Like, it looks like a completely different artist's
I'd say it
handiwork.
is.
And I don't even know that, I wouldn't say that this is better either, because like, here's a big problem in this industry, and I see it in the pricing even for tattoos. People will pay you more money for the realistic thing because they think it's harder to do, right? But I can almost guarantee you, like, if both of these tattoos came in and Terry can do either of them, guess which one he would prefer to do in a shorter amount of time?
The realistic one.
That will pay him more money.
Yep.
Right? Like, this thing has a higher price point.
Yeah.
And it's less work.
Realism is more impressive to the layman.
Yeah.
Right? Like, dum-dums out there are like, oh, I'm impressed. But
Well,
like,
it looks like a real thing.
lines are fucking hard, man.
Well, and it's
Nice lines are hard.
laborious, right? Like, this
Yeah.
is, look at all that packing in there and the line. Like, all of that takes time. There's a little bit of, like, nice little details in here. I feel like this would take Terry 2 or 3 hours, right? So it wouldn't take him very long. And this is actually kind of the style his realism is, too. This is a little lighter than this, but it's not what people will think it is. Realism nets a higher price point overall, and that's where a lot of artists they'll bunker down and do that style forever because it appeals to the most people, and it's one of the easier ones to do.
I think it's important to have it in your wheelhouse, though.
So,
but anyway,
I like the eagle thing way more personally, and I think the placement of this thing sucks. I think this is fairly atrocious placement.
Yeah, I would have either like.
This is the end of a sleeve.
Unless you're going to do more above it, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
This is the top.
I would have brought it up.
Right, because like, what goes above the trees? You gonna do a big skyline?
Well, whatever
like,
goes above it's not going to make sense.
It's there are certain things where it's like you place that and everything has to be below it, right? Like, unless you're gonna do another style of tattoo and just do like completely different thing. But like, in terms of composition, I kind of hate how this is coming together.
I will say
I like both tattoos on their own.
The only way that you're gonna make this work and you barely have room to do it is if you do like one of those like kind of rip things and then put like a whole new scene above it.
Well, what I don't understand about these is like, you got 2 tattoos that took up quite a bit of your arm, and because people will go, well, not everyone wants a sleeve, Remy, which is almost never the case. Almost everyone ends up getting a sleeve when they have this much on their arms. So that's a dumb thing to say. It's like, just to get that out of the equation. Just be open to the fact that you're likely going to do more.
Always.
Right? So the artist should have a plan in mind. Like, I don't know what you're going to do next here. So, yeah. That's a problem for me. I can see the shading was left open, so they could technically build more scene. But it's a little bit harder to do with this where it is. Anyway, let's move along to the next one. I like both of those tattoos, by the way. I just think the placement is very fucking weird.
So this next one says, hi, my name is Jackie, and I like to ask what you think of my tattoo, just because I value other artists' thanks. I think we need to re-specify that Remy is not a tattoo artist.
Yeah,
How many times did you get this?
It's one of those things, right? And to be fair, I have more hours on me than most people will ever spend tattooing.
You have an eye. You have an eye that's better than most artists. But
Also, when you're around this industry for a very, very long time, you end up knowing a lot about it anyway. And how many artists ask me before anyone else?
It's just the email you showed me like this morning, I think it was,
Oh,
that they
yes.
were like, or a
People
couple
are
days
willing
ago.
to pay me for consults.
They were
for
like, I want to
tattoos.
do a consult for a black and gray tattoo or a blacked out tattoo with you, Remy. And it's like, I don't know in what world Remy has ever said that he's
I've literally never said it.
tattooing.
'Cause there might be people out there that think I'm some kind of huckster or something, like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not. I've literally never said this. The only people who would think that are fucking lazy.
Yeah,
So it's your own fault, not mine.
looking. We're not calling you lazy. I'm just, I just thought this was a good
No,
time to make a point.
you can be an artist without being a tattooer too.
No, I'm not.
And like, I do consider myself to be an artist. I'm just not a tattooer.
Yes.
Right? And I very easily could make that transition one day. But for anyone who doesn't know this, I'm not and have not planned to be even. I have refused the offer several times.
Yeah. Rem is currently not tattooing.
Yeah. I've been a piercer. I do laser removal.
Even though the wife has, said it might be a good idea for the future. Anyways, doesn't matter.
When I'm all done getting tattooed myself, that will probably happen.
That's why I think it's a good idea.
Because, I think that what energy I put into my own project, I'll want to put into someone else's project. Mm-hmm. And that's the way Lucky Diamond Rich did it, too. When he stopped getting tattooed, he started tattooing other people. Mm-hmm. So that's a very likely thing for me. But anyway, we have another realism fused to a blorb thing at the bottom.
Yeah,
what is the fucking likelihood of that?
I have no understanding of what's going on. I see a lady face.
Yeah, the lady face is okay, but I think she just sees a lot of sun. I don't want to go to beating up the artist's contrast ratios and shading ability. What I think is more likely is that whoever did this did a decent job of it. She just bakes herself.
I can see the lady face, therefore they did a good job.
I mean, there are some realism artists that don't know how to saturate that can still do a good lady face, too.
Well.
Right? That's more of an
readable.
art thing. Technique and art are two different things.
Yep.
But I like the face, and even the floral that was done at some point, it probably looked quite nice. It's just, I think this has had a lot of sun.
Yeah.
I see sun bleaching happening here. I think some of the wear and tear hasn't been kind to this piece. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't take care of their shit. I hear artists all the time, they're like, well, after I finish the tattoo, I almost wave a goodbye on the way out because you don't know what it's going to look like.
We were talking about that the other day.
The minute it leaves the door, you just walk away from it mentally.
There's a few projects that I don't think are ever coming back, and I'm like, I just want to finish it.
Yeah, well, the longer you tattoo, the more unfinished projects you're going to have. Yeah. So, we get another picture of the fucking lower arm. Of course we don't.
No.
It looks like some, Japanese traditional thing.
I feel like I see feathers or scales.
Lined out at some point and then abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that's always the case. I see so many unfinished projects. It's just why start what you don't plan to finish?
Right.
Why? Why bother?
I've also, there are people who are, almost afraid to finish it because they're afraid the artists are going to screw it up. I was talking to one of our artists about this, that they like the lines and they're afraid that they're going to screw up the shading.
That's crazy.
I mean, you got to trust your artist.
No.
If you don't trust them to finish their own piece, then you shouldn't be going to that artist.
Sometimes it's as simple as it hurt and they don't want to do it again. Look at your arm. Right? It's still not been passed twice, right? It looks fine enough, but it's not done yet.
We'll go.
Right?
After summer.
You've had other tattoos since. I have a friend he's a regular at the shop here. He had a outline on his neck for 2 years before he finished it. There's a girl I knew who had the outline of a microphone on her throat for 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if she ever finished it.
Probably not.
I don't know. She probably still has an outline on her throat. She got the lines and she tapped out and she never finished it.
I didn't think the throat was that bad, but okay, poor girl.
I mean, the throat is never nice, but it's not the worst.
No.
For me, for the throat, it's I'm always banking on a 6 to 7. So it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's doable.
It sucked.
Yeah.
But it didn't
There are definitely
that much.
worse things. But anyway, it's never pleasant.
Yeah.
And then we have...
A crane.
A crane.
I like the crane.
Looks like it could be left this way.
I like the crane. I think that there's a lot of contrast. Yes, you obviously see a lot of sun, and I think your artist noticed that. And
looks like laser behind it.
that way, yep.
That's typical for what happens with laser. Mm-hmm. And then they got to a place where they were ready to cover it. So
yep.
I would assume that there will be color coming into this.
You think so?
Yeah, because there's laser tattoos all behind the crane. Mm-hmm. You can see them all throughout it, right? There's something here. And this is a great opportunity for me to talk about laser a little bit. And most people have this idea that laser will simply remove your tattoos for you. And it's almost never the case. Almost always they just go light gray. Mm-hmm. Because if you have any amount of black in someone's skin, it will show through to some degree.
I think that this laser, though, is a really best case scenario. I think that you couldn't ask for
better. There is better case
laser,
scenarios.
But this is almost perfectly gone. You could tattoo over this so easy.
Yeah, but
right?
You can fully remove tattoos. It's just some tattoos don't go and others do. And it's important that people, like, there's no good education about laser. Like, no one talks about it ever. Like, when have you ever heard anywhere anyone talking about what to expect with laser?
Well,
It's
they
like
don't.
you just see these stupid videos of things being lasered. It's like,
It's
oh,
like
look at that.
because it's a money trap and they know
Yeah,
it.
It's fucking pathetic. Anyway, you can get a better result, but this is a pretty good one. And that I would assume that this is going to be colored in at some point, because generally where there's laser, people are trying to hide things. I would even recommend like a nice background color over the rest of this shit, just to kind of bury the rest of this bullshit. And you're right. When you get things this soft, when you have them this gray, they take whatever you put over them like there's nothing there.
Yep.
So there's probably only like 10% saturation in there. The problem is even 10% will show through. Like, you'll see something when you get it that low. And the less ink that's in you, the harder it is to laser it.
Yes.
It gets more resistant almost.
Yeah, because the particles are farther apart, so the
Yeah.
laser's not hitting them and bouncing them as much, right?
Yeah,
Or
when it's
whatever
super,
it does.
super densely packed, that's when you get the greatest reaction from
And
the
that's
laser.
when the laser machine sounds like craziness.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Snap and crackle.